Well, now I want to turn to Tom Farrell to see his scratch building, and I think he's got a surprise for us tonight. Tom, welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show. And yes, I do have a surprise. Um, I'm going to introduce Len Eberwein. He's a ON30 Master Model Builder. He's probably the best modeler you've never heard of. He is 80 years old in Kansas City, Missouri. I got an email from him this past Wednesday, and he is dismantling his layout. And he literally has museum quality models. I mean, it's a phrase that you don't want to lightly pass around, but these are really amazing models. And he has elected to basically give them to 4 modelers that were included on the email. And I'm familiar with his work, and I requested what I believe are his top 5, and he gave me all top 5 of them. So Saturday, I drove 9 hours to Kansas City, met with him, pulled out his 5 models from his layout, and Sunday I drove back. And these are 2 of the models this evening that I'm going to feature. And Len himself will be on the program probably after Thanksgiving to show you how he's made some of these. So that's Len, and that's one of the models that I'm going to feature this evening. He builds everything on plywood, just like I do. And just a note to everybody, we had this particular model out in seconds. And I can attest that when I dismantled my rustic buff and old Gothic 2 years ago now, everything was on plywood. And within a day, I had every single scratch built off the layout. So I encourage people to build things on plywood for this very reason. So the first one we're going to feature tonight is a 19th century petroleum refinery. And I'm going to give you a little background on exactly what is a 19th century petroleum refinery. So get a little history on petroleum. Back in 1859, basically in the Pittsburgh area, my hometown, Edwin Drake struck oil and that was the first commercial oil well in the United States. And it created an entire industry. Within a few years, Pennsylvania oil boom was in full swing. Take a look at that picture. Weren't these guys just total environmentalists? I mean, look at the care and concern they had for the environment there. It's just amazing, their cautiousness. That's sarcasm. Back in 1850, I haven't figured out how they could have a refinery before they had the first oil well, but maybe that's a misprint in the data that I looked up. But the first modern US refinery was created. It was basically a 1-barrel still. That was also in the Pittsburgh area. Basically, you're just heating a crude oil and vaporizing off the lighter materials, just like a whiskey still. The positive consequence of Drake finding oil and these first refineries is it quickly replaced whale oil. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have any whales. Now that's a photograph of one of the early refineries. So you can see they're basically distillation ovens. So this is the oven down here, the brick, and then this is the vaporization still. I can imagine that these occasionally exploded, because you got all the makings here of a bomb. And that is Len's work. I mean, to me, it's just stunning. He hand carved all that brickwork from balsa foam. He made all these stills out of styrene. They use various wires and things to hook them together, and we'll have some close-ups of this, but it's just amazing modeling, all scratch built. There's a couple of the ovens. Yeah, the detail comes down to the fittings on the pipes, bunch of valves here, rivet detail. This is all scratch built. Like I say, he's the best modeler you've never heard of, unless you're an On30. There's another distillation kiln oven. All scratch built, all carved out of balsa foam. Just take that in for a moment.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It really is. It's just strikingly good. And he wanted these to go to what he called a happy place, somebody that would appreciate the fact that they are scratch built, appreciate the detail, and put them on a layout that, you know, others would get to see. So I'm glad he thought of me.
Tom,
Yeah,
how long has he been in ON30?
decades.
2000?
Yeah, at least he's won a couple national contests. But hasn't been too terribly active lately. He plans to continue, his layout's getting dismantled, but he's going to build dioramas. So he's going to continue to model in O scale and ON30.
So what was this? What was the size of his layout, Tom?
Approximately 25 feet by, say, 14 or so. It was quite large. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the basement of his house.
Wow.
Look at the detail on this guy. I mean, I just feel so fortunate to pick this up, and it's going to be incorporated on my layout. I've got 5 models of this quality. I'll show you 2 of them this evening.
Wow.
They put the pipe fittings on there, and just very nice. Close up, all scratch built. You can almost smell and feel the tar on this thing, eh? Now, if you like that one, wait till you see this thing. This is his scratch-built ON30 coal tower. You can't really get an idea for the size of this, but it's huge. It's almost 2 feet high, 18 inches in depth, and 14 inches wide. Again, this is hand-carved balsa foam, and then this is a stick build, and this features interior detail. This is one of my cars. It's actually, and it also sits on a big piece of plywood. Look at the left photo here. See, there's the rivet details. It's I have built something similar to this in so much similar construction as this when I did my Durango coal tower. This type of stick build, besides consuming an enormous amount of wood, takes an enormous amount of time. And you have to have a lot of patience. He still has the actual, he created full-size drawings of this before making it. It's an actual prototype in Germany of all places. But he has full-scale plans of this. He wanted to keep those. I told him to keep them mounted in have them mounted, put it as a picture on a wall. The drawing is his drawing of this is as impressive as the model. You could just spend hours just looking at the detail here. This is the ore bin back here behind this. This is one of my cars. The walkways. This is where goes to the quote mine itself. And I'll show you some interior shots here coming up. Metal roof.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
excuse me. Did he happen to mention what he uses for weathering on his wood?
Yeah, he uses alcohol stains, and he frequently uses the pickling mix that I featured about a year ago, where you take vinegar and you put a steel wool pad in a bottle and let it sit for about 2 months. He uses that quite frequently. If you're familiar with that old time technique.
I've heard of it. I haven't tried it. It's something I probably should.
Take a bottle of white vinegar, distilled
Uh-huh.
vinegar, put it in a container, take a steel wool pad, make sure it isn't stainless steel and not a Brillo pad, something from a hardware store, and just put it in there and let it sit for a couple months, and it dissolves. And then it gives you this, you paint it on like paint, and then when it dries, it oxidizes and turns a grayish brown. He uses that a lot.
Yeah,
This
looks
looks
nice.
This looks like India ink here.
Okay, thank you.
Here's a detail he put. So the mining car comes across the top up here on the left, goes into this device and spins. It's a dumping turret. There's a name for it. There's some roof detail. This is a chute inside. I had to zoom in on this. This is a chute inside where when the dump comes down, it goes into the chute and then dumps into the hopper that I talked about later. This is actually for gold, I think is what he was doing. There's a close-up of his mining cars and this device.
Rotary dumper.
Rotary dumper, there we go. So I hope you're as impressed as I was. And I've got 3 more of this caliper, including a stamping mill that it literally will knock your socks off. It has interior detailing, all scratch built.
Tom, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get those back home without damaging them?
When I arrived in Kansas City, I went to Ace Hardware and bought big moving boxes, big plastic bags, and newspaper print. And then I put the plastic bag over the model, set it in the box, put crushed newspaper around it, and then put it in the back of my pickup truck. And nothing got damaged, nothing.
Wow.
You have a tarp over the back of Tom?
Yeah, my
You have a
truck
tarp
has a,
over the back, yeah, or a
Yeah.
cover.
so. What'd you guys think? Pretty impressive stuff, eh?
It's
Very
beautiful.
Makes you
impressive.
want to go out and model right away.
Yeah,
Very impressive.
Yeah,
absolutely.
really nice.
The best modeler.
They
Look
are
forward-
truly
we'll look
the
forward to seeing the
definition
other-
of museum quality.
Look forward to see the other 3 of them when you get a chance to show them, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, question for you. You referred to balsa foam. What is that?
It's a very dense foam you can get at an art store. It's carvable. It's like it's a closed cell carvable foam. You can get a Dick Blick art online, for example. That's where I got mine. After the show, I'll show you that I have cubes and cubes and cubes of it. I was going to do a curved stone bridge, so I have quite a bit of it, but I'll show you after the show. Yeah. Dick Blick art Supplies has it.
Tom, did he say anything about number of hours he had and pick out one of those two structures? Anything like that? I mean, those aren't just shake the box, you know, those are months of work.
Well, like I said, when I built my Durango tower, which was probably a third the size of that coal tipple, or maybe half the size, it took months. So I'm guessing he has 3-4 months in those things. He's going to be on the show. I talked him into being on the show. Maybe after Thanksgiving, he'll go through the builds of a couple of these.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I'll look forward to seeing him because this is just unbelievable modeling. Just beautiful work.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.